organization chart. I was in the financial management program, so I was way down here, and Ray Jones, who was the chairman at the time before Jack Welch, was way up here, and I used to think about things like, geez, what do you have to do to get one of those jobs? And wouldn't it be great when you got them? Because then you could sit in the big office and tell people what to do, and you never really had to break a sweat, right? And boy, how different the world is for me. You were taught in finance, in GE, stay in your swim lane, swim fast, touch the wall first, and you will be recognized and rewarded and promoted. And you know, some of you were doing jobs back then too. Some of you weren't even born, but you know, there was a lot of this, I think, not just in corporate America, but around the world. And it worked okay, you know, because speed wasn't the issue that it is today. The way people get information, social media and everything that's attached to the digital economy didn't even exist. I can remember some leaders in GE that bragged about the fact they didn't have a computer on their desks, right? Well, there's nobody that would brag about that today. So the 80s, 70s, 80s, and maybe part of the 90s, that worked okay. I mean, it was a combination that was fine. It was a fly-in, fly-out world, right? So you could go to a country, sell your jet engine or your gas turbine, leave, complete the deal, ship the product in, get paid, and export the profits to shareholders in some other place. And nobody really cared about things like localization. There were offset agreements, so you had to do a few things locally, but you know, whether you did an offset agreement by buying, you know, vodka or pencils and erasers didn't really matter as long as you met the target. There was not a thought about what you were doing to contribute to the local economy, to contribute to capacity building. There wasn't really a lot of discussion about that in terms of what allowed us to be successful as a global company in the 70s, 80s, and part of the 90s. And you fast forward now to the 21st century, and it's completely different, obviously. We're in over 180 countries. Every place we go, we are expected to add capability and capacity, not just put a plant up, but actually train and develop people, not just our own people, but the people that come with the supply chain and the ecosystem that has to support that plant. And so, you know, we live in a world where the matrix really, I mean, it's a global matrix. We're supposed to be an American company, a global company, and a local company at the same time. And that's part of the balance that we have to strike every day. And we have to do that in a world that's, you know, it's functioning in a different way. I mean, it's a multilateral to bilateral world. Now, the good news is, you know, we've kind of grown up knowing that we have to have relationships in every country that we operate in. So in a sense, we've been bilateral all the way along, but we're not going to have the tailwind that might be provided by trade agreements like TPP. And we're concerned about what happens with NAFTA and advocate to improve it. Because in a 25-year-old agreement, it can be improved. A 25-year-old agreement can be approved, but not throw it out and start over. You know, but if you think about this in the context of what's changed, so we're global, local, and U.S. at the same time. We are in the 21st century a digital and an industrial company. You know, what does that mean? We've recognized that the value of what we provide when we sell a jet engine or a gas turbine is complemented by what we do to improve the life cycle and operating costs of that. That's not new. We've been monitoring jet engines, locomotives, gas turbines for 25 years. What's new is the power of the information that what we can do with the information that we collect and how we can use that to to diagnose problems faster, to anticipate problems, to fix problems without taking a jet engine off wing. And this idea that we can operate from a digital platform we call Predix, which is our vision to create the industrial operating system corollary to what's operating, one of the two systems likely to be operating your smartphones on the consumer side. And our bet with digital and industrial is that we're going to take the deep domain competence that comes with 50 or 60 years of designing, building, servicing, monitoring jet engines, and couple that with this operating system so that for any airline in the world, we can create more value, we can keep engines on wing longer, and they're more productive, and we get more benefits with that. So we're operating at the intersection of the horizontal and the vertical. If you think about what it means to be global and local at the same time, you're operating at an intersection because you have to be global, but you have to be local, but not at the expense of being global. So we're teaching people to operate at these intersections. From a leadership perspective, we have to have leaders who are comfortable operating across the company as well as in their domain, whether that's finance, legal, HR, operations, commercial, technical. The world I grew up in was a swim lane world. Start in finance, swim fast, get promoted, and end up in a senior financial role. And I was one of the first people in GE that kind of raised their hand and said, look, I love finance, but I'd like to try something different. And fortunately, by that time, Jack Welch was interested in the same idea, so I said that on a Friday and had a different job on a Tuesday. And so we're teaching people to operate in a world where your horizontal leadership skills are almost as important as your vertical domain capabilities. It's critically important because if I think about the organization, a company I started with, it was based on a static organization chart, like existed in lots of companies. They don't really exist in GE today. We have organization, right? We do it for governance, and it's important, and we have authorities and accountability. But if you look at the way work gets done, if I think about the best things that happen in our company, the best products that we launch, the biggest problems we solve, the biggest deals that we win, it never happens because of the work of one person. It never happens because of the work of one function. It always happens because a team of people come together, they have a clear mission as to what they want to accomplish, they understand why the goal is important, and then they figure out the what and the how. And so the nature of what we do and how we do it together has changed. In the 70s and 80s, leadership was conferred by a title. You know, if your box was higher on the organization chart and your title was a bigger title, you were a big leader. It was almost by definition. Today, it almost doesn't matter what your title is. If you're not able to influence and help people understand why the mission is important, why they need to work hard, why they need to collaborate, you're not going to be successful. I don't care whether you're the chairman or the vice chairman of GE or any of our other leaders. It's essential that you figure out how to use your influence to cut across the organization so you can complement your capabilities that come from your domain competence or your functional competence and bring it together in a way that creates a better outcome for our customers and our shareholders. So helping people to navigate this world that is both horizontal and vertical at the same time, it's not a natural skill set. And I think we have a culture that's quite adaptable for that, but we also have 330,000 people around the world operating in 180 countries, and we have to get to them all. It's almost a paradox. It's a different form of leadership. It's team-based leadership, And the same concept applies to innovation.